on your lips and the kiss we share in the morning. I don't mind falling if you're following. I don't mind walking in the rain. I'll be your shelter.
Welcome to the Indie Tea Talk podcast. I'm Adam and this is Kay, your host for a journey into indie music across the north of England. Tune in as we explore unique melodies, chat with talented artists and create a space that you can discover your favourite music like never before. Also, if you're new to Indie Tea Talk, please show your support by hitting that subscribe button. It's a massive help to us and also the artists that we support. On today's episode, we are excited to welcome the exceptional artist whose soundscapes have taken audiences on emotional roller coasters time and time again. Please join me in welcoming Phil Clive Grainger. From the north to all the way down under in Australia, Phil has captivated audiences with his emotive and euphoric soundscapes, currently writing and performing with both his solo project and theatre company, Wright and Grainger. Phil has continued to produce truly special and unforgettable pieces that effortlessly unite people. So, without further ado, let's dive into the mind behind the magic and explore what makes Phil Clive Grainger sound so special. Please welcome Phil.
Hi everyone.
Hello. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. Thanks for such a lovely introduction. That was nice to hear. I wasn't expecting it.
Well, we like to outdo ourselves every time, so...
It's lovely.
What can we say?
Did you find your way over today all right?
I'd love to say yes, but actually, no. I'd put it in the sat-nav, which usually makes it easy, and then I just kept driving by the entrances. I think I thought I was driving to Bridlington, so I just kept going along listening to songs and kept going, oh no, it says I'm 15 minutes away.
This is also considering that I didn't message Phil the address, which people do sometimes come and get lost because of the address.
Yeah.
I sent him the pin of exactly where we are.
Yeah.
And he still
I just sort of thought, I don't know, I just didn't put the sat-nav in the sat-nav holder. I just thought, just drive.
Wing it.
Just drive and you'll get there. Then I kept being 15 minutes away. Then I'd drive for 10 more minutes and go, right, wait, 15 minutes away? And I'd gone, so no, I didn't. But
But you're here now.
I'm here now. And, I ended up sort of on time.
Well, you ended up just in time for pizza, which
is what I was really bothered
time.
about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the
Yeah.
podcast.
No. Forget all that stuff. Just give me pizza.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your introduction to music? Was there a moment that specifically made you realise that you wanted to do music?
Yeah, there was actually. Yeah. I was a really shy little boy, and I didn't really do any. I'd never have guessed I was going into any kind of creative or performance career. But when it was a bit of a tragic moment. Well, it was a lot of a tragic moment, but hopefully it's not too sort of sad a thing to talk about. But when I was at school, a friend committed suicide in our year 10. So early, young, and some of his close friends decided that they'd put a gig on to sort of tribute to his name, as a tribute to him. His name is Ollie, and I decided I wanted to play at that, having never done it before. So just learnt a couple of songs on the piano, just really went, right, I need to learn how to play that, having never really done it before. And that was that was enough need to do that, to sort of for me to spit out some chords on a keyboard.
You dipped your toe in the water enough to know that you really, really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah. And I'm sure I didn't play it very well, but played Drops of Jupiter by Train and played something else and then it kind of never left from there. I still didn't think that was what I was going to do, and wouldn't spend my life doing it. But I knew from that point that I'd probably always be, quite fancying
dabbling.
Yeah, being involved with music, and music became a big part of my life from there, really. Kind of
That's quite a nice story behind it, though. That from a
loss
super
like
horrific thing that you found a nice thing in music.
Yeah.
Kind of
yeah.
discovered who you were as well, which is a bit of a weird thing.
Well, looking back from now, like people that know me now would assume I can't do anything other than write and sing songs now.
And also, you're not, you're quite, I guess, extroverted and really good at speaking to people and, you know, confident in performing. So to say that you were shy before that is, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Quite
it does feel
contrasting.
wild knowing my life now that yeah. Yeah, that was it, yeah.
So you recently released Maybe,
Yeah.
your debut single as a solo artist. Can you tell us a little bit about it and the processes behind it? And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe came to me in 2022. I was on a trip round Australia and I didn't have a guitar. And I was taking part in a songwriting course. It was quite a good thing where you had a group of people who were all doing the course at the same time, but virtually.
All right.
But you had to send things to each other, and then you commented on each other's stuff, and it was good because it kept you accountable, and you had to deliver things.
Well, and also, yeah, if you've not got a guitar, it's quite easy to be like, oh, well, I've not got a guitar, so I can't do any writing.
Exactly.
But you can.
And I really wanted to do the course, and it happened to be at a time when I was in Australia. So I made a song only through samples from Splice. So just found a piano sample, a drum sample, and just kind of went, right, well, for this tune, I will just do it like that, and forced myself and limited myself to do it like that. And just wrote a song. So it takes me a long time to write songs, sort of several years.
Right.
For my solo project songs.
That is a lot.
That's quite a while,
I thought you were going to say like a few months. Several years is a long time.
Yeah. No, yeah, it really is. So this one starting in 2022 and being out now is I would say twice as fast as I've ever finished a song for my solo project. Hence why that's my first release, and I've been performing solo for many years. So yeah, I did it with these samples, and then just had to decide what I was writing about, and did it. And then the release that you actually can now hear online is remade, so it's not those samples anymore.
Yeah, you've recreated them.
Recreated it, but actually one of them remains. There's a sample of a gospel choir as sort of one of the main returning hooks, and that is from that original thing.
Nice.
Your recent release was launched just before your tour with Chai Met Toast, which you had to pull out, sadly, due to personal reasons. How were the couple of performances that you got to do with them before you had to pull out?
Oh, Adam, they were the best gigs. It was really sad to have to miss the rest, actually. So yeah, When Chai Met Toast are an Indian band, but they play sort of English pop sounding music. For anyone that doesn't know them. And they saw me play in Australia earlier this year, and I was doing one of my theatre shows, but they said, do you do sort of solo stuff and stuff that's not tied up in a narrative? And I said, yeah, I do. And they said, oh, we're gonna come to England later in the year. And I, for some reason, reacted as if like, oh, well done, guys, whoever you are, that's brilliant, good on you, coming over to England. Well, I think you're going to do very well. And then sort of when I looked them up, realised they had millions of fans, and they were playing much bigger gigs in the UK than I do. So I was really psyched to be asked to go and support them, as it turns out. And they played the Lafayette in London, and that was sold out. Yeah. What's
the capacity?
700 maybe.
Yeah. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, really great room actually, and and you know it was they've got a lot of fans, but the room that was there was just so excited. They were all Indian people, and man, it's just the most receptive and warm audience I've ever played to, and they weren't there for me.
That's
what
what I was going to say. It's funny, isn't it? I've done different supports for headline acts before, and some of them, their audiences are, so excited to see someone new that's alongside the person that's headlining, and then some of them look at you like, you're not who I'm here to see. But that's really nice that they were super receptive, even though you're just a support act, which a lot of people do get that kind of in their heads, don't they?
For sure.
Or aren't even there for the support act, like show up
Well,
as the headliner starts.
Yeah. Which is, and you should never, obviously I think you should never take that as any kind of slight on you, but it's hard not to when you're playing and there's 30 people there and you've been told it's a sold out gig.
Yeah.
But no, everyone was there. Everyone was there by the time the only people that weren't there for the start, I think, were my mates that had come. They all turned up sort of 10 minutes into my slot. But yeah, it was a truly gorgeous room and gig, and I got a lot of new followers and a lot of messages from people saying like saying what they thought of it, which just was really lovely. And I haven't done much support gigs because of touring with Wright and Grainger a lot. My thought process goes, right, well then I'll put some gigs on of my own, rather than thinking, I wonder who I could go and support. And I'm trying to change my mind on that, actually, because I do think I need to follow the classic thing of doing some support tours and then doing some
your feet with it.
But that's a hard step to think about when I'm so used to putting on headline gigs of my theatre company. So I'm kind of battling with that at the moment and trying to think, how do you get into doing some tour support? So it was kind of my first experience of that, and a really, really positive one. And then yes, it got cut short after the first 2 gigs because I had to have an emergency operation, which kind of threw everything up in the air and meant that I wasn't allowed to sing they said I wasn't allowed to sing for quite a while. I did carry on 1 week after, but kindly, Chai Met Toast said, no.
Yeah.
We can't be part of you being an idiot and carrying on when the doctors have said no. So, hopefully I'll pick up with them another time.
Yeah, definitely. That was something I wanted to ask you about, actually, with the after performing for so many years in bands and group theatre productions. Is it kind of a shock to the system going into that solo performance and solo writing process, I guess?
Yeah.
Is there anything, has it changed any of your creative habits or the way you perform?
It is really... It is different, and actually, I call it a solo thing, but actually, I'm wanting it to be a very collaborative thing. So I've been working with one person doing all these shows for years, and then this project, I'm calling a solo project, but actually, it means I'm working with even more people. So that's a bit of a weird one to get my head around. And the huge difference is, the reason it takes me so long to write these songs is that you don't have anyone to bounce off or to like...
Or to get excited with you about anything.
Or to deliver you a thing, i.e. some words or something that then you can just go, oh, yeah, I'm off on one and I'm doing it. It's kind of... it's just all you and my notes on my phone. I and that's how I kind of write, is just when the moment takes me, I just jot it down in the notes, and I've got a note per song, which I'm sure is probably what everybody does, but
that's super common.
That's exactly what I do.
That is one of the key things that I've taken away from doing this podcast, is if Apple got rid of Apple Notes, the music industry would crumble.
I reckon, yeah.
We'd have to use real life paper again.
I know.
What?
Yeah. And actually, mine on my phone, the note is called, because the first one I ever wrote down, I'm going to out some shit lyrics here. The first one I ever wrote down was, maybe I'll win a Grammy for that. Maybe I just want my grandma back. As like a little 2 lines.
Yeah.
But because of the way I wrote it, the first line came out as the title of the note.
Yeah.
So the note is now called Maybe I'll Win a Grammy for that. And then there's just 6 years of
songwriting
lyric
under
couplets and whatever. But maybe I will win a Grammy for one of them one day.
Here's to hoping, eh?
Yeah.
So, Phil. Oh, nice mug.
Yeah.
Do you want to turn it
am I
around
on
so
camera
everyone
right
can
now?
see the
Yeah,
logo?
yeah.
Right. I'm just going to drink it like this then.
That's fine.
We noticed you brought an MPC sample pad with you today.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know a lot more about that, just for my own personal interest anyway,
Yeah.
but also how that has changed your writing. Because obviously you said that maybe was based off samples. And yeah, how has that kind of changed? I guess a lot of your stuff previously was guitar and vocals. So how has it changed your songwriting?
Did maybe influence your purchase in that?
No.
Which is ironic, really, because of how you...
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. At the time of writing Maybe, I'd had the MPC for 4 years and used it very,
Minimally.
very little.
It had been charged.
Yeah. No, I'd used it for some Wright and Grainger shows, but I'd used it in a very different way to how I use it now. And I must say, the way I use it now is entirely thanks to a guy in Australia called Jamie McDowell, who's a really close friend of mine, and before he was a really close friend of mine, was one of my favourite artists, which I had to sort of pretend was not the case until I'd befriended him, and then was able to tell him. But he uses one. I don't know if it's the way it's supposed to be used. If it feels like it's perfect for it, but even when I bought it, I bought it so that I could just put a sample on a pad, hit it, and hear that sound. Whereas he uses it as a way to record and prepare
And
full
practice
sequences,
and play and everything.
Yeah, and
every
he makes
step.
his music on it. Whereas so really what I've been using it for is a few things. One, when I make on Logic, the Apple program, and when I do that, as I'm sure is a really common thing, I sit looking through different sounds for so long. And what the MPC has done, I've chosen one snare sound, one kick sound, one bass sound, one piano sound, and I don't have any others.
Which I'm sure was an agonising process.
Yeah.
It was an annoying week doing that. But I went into it knowing that's what I was doing because
Yeah.
Jamie told me to.
The oracle.
Yeah, he is the MPC oracle. So now that it's that, it can just streamline,
Yeah.
creating things, MIDI stuff without sifting through sounds for so long. And like I said, with Maybe, once I'd made the thing with just samples,
Yeah.
I then, with a producer friend, Tom Figgins, we did go to town on looking for samples.
Yeah, but
and
the
spending a
writing
while on it.
process is much easier if you already have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how the same way that I just had to choose some samples from Splice and make Maybe, I can just make something on the MPC that is limited. I never spend very long agonizing over it. And then if I've come up with something good, it's going to be good, because if it's good on there, it's going to be
it's
good
gonna
when
be
you've picked some
amazing.
really great sounds on Logic.
Yeah.
So that's how it's changed my songwriting, I reckon, is that it. Although I haven't yet written any songs using it, because I guess I'm scared to. What I am trying to do at the moment is the songs that I've written on guitar, I'm trying to put them onto the MPC
And rewrite
and rewrite it as a cover of my own song, because that might help me understand how to create on there. And I'm making a lot of covers just to sort of go, okay, I can't do this thing that I would do, so here's what I'd do instead. So just making loads of songs and also trying to make a nice set of 30 songs that I can take out onto the street and busk with it, because the MPC is battery powered and I've got some nice battery powered speakers, so I kind of figure it's a really interesting busking act.
Yeah.
So I've been taking it out onto the street, and yeah, it gets a lot of attention actually, because it's quite a sort of hip hop sound and full of bass and drums and piano and strings, and you're playing all that just from one little box, and then obviously singing as well. And so it's been really nice for that, and I do hope to write on it. And Jamie does, so I guess I'm going to have to.
Yeah. Right, it's time for the really important question.
Oh yeah.
If your music was a flavour of tea, what would it be and why?
Yeah. Well, look, I am not a tea drinker.
Yeah, you don't drink many hot drinks, do you?
I don't know.
I think I've seen you drink a hot chocolate once, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a rare sighted, like a special bird. But if I'm having a hot drink, I'll have a hot chocolate. But I've actually, I mean, this is going to sound like I've had 30 cups of tea, ever.
I thought you were going to say today.
I'm not really a big tea drinker. I'm only on my 30th of the day.
And I only happen to know that because I don't have it very much. And when I first had my first one, it wasn't a casual thing. I went, oh, my first cup of tea. So then when I had a next one with someone, and the first 16 were all with the same person, went round to his house, we had a cup of tea. So I was like, my fourth cup of tea, hello. And that went on. And then finally, I think I got to my 25th cup and I was 25. So then I had one a year up until 30. And I don't think I've had one since. And I've got one in front of me here. So I'm actually drinking my 31st cup.
Oh my
live,
goodness.
not live.
Wow.
Well, kind of
Recorded on a podcast.
Live.
In fact, I'm just going to take a sip.
This is a momentous occasion.
What sip
is a
do you
moment.
reckon that is? How many sips is in a one cup of tea?
I'd love to
So
know
is
that. I
anyone
wish
good
I'd
at
counted
maths?
that. Here we go. I'm going to make it an audible sip now.
Wow,
You know,
graceful.
it is nice though, isn't it? Like
Really
I mean,
hits the back of the throat.
I don't because I don't like coffee.
Yeah.
I don't like the taste of coffee. So I do like tea, and I've been thinking to myself, why don't you grow up and start drinking tea? So this was me deciding to grow up a little bit and have tea, and unfortunately, I think it would. I dread to think how many people have said Yorkshire tea, but it's going to be Yorkshire tea because I'm from Yorkshire and I don't know tea. So I will say it's Yorkshire tea, but I'm not very happy with the answer.
Oh. Well, I think personally, there's no finer cup of tea than a Yorkshire tea.
Oh, well, great. I hope that's the opinion of the
Your
mass
music.
public.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. If it's
that's
not
fair.
their opinion, it's a wrong opinion, and that's fine.
Sure.
Oh, lovely. Right then, enough about tea. Let's listen to some of your music. What are you going to do for us first?
Well, seeing as we've talked about maybe I'll...
Maybe.
Seeing as we've talked about maybe I'll do maybe.
Perfect.
Nice. That sounds great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I know we've all got our problems, and I know that my ones are different from your ones. I think that mine are okay, I wave them off at the gate. I think that you'll be alright, you think that you have to fight. And if you don't agree with the way that I think, and if you would rather be in the right than well received, maybe we all want to be different. Does that make us all alike or more and more distant? I know what you would say. Maybe it's okay if we're not the same. I'll try to forget all the things we said. And I know we've all got our problems, and I know that my ones are different from your ones. And I try my best to believe, but you make it so hard to agree. I'm working all days of the week, including Sundays against your beliefs. And if it is true what they say, someone created all this in 6 days, it takes me half of that time for a line and twice as long just to write half a song. But I feel I'm better behaved, I'm far less judgy and needy for praise. And if that makes me harder to save, I'll have to pray extra hard at the gates. And if you don't agree with the way that I think, and if you would rather be in the right than well received, maybe we all want to be different. Does that make us all alike or more and more distant? I know what you would say. Maybe it's okay if we're not the same. I'll try to forget all the things we said.
Ooh, something is calling me. It's had my number for these past few weeks. And I know you don't believe and we agree to disagree. It doesn't stop you singing with me. Yeah.
Maybe we all want to be different.
Maybe it's okay.
Does that make us all alike or more and more distant? Maybe we all want to be different. Does that make us all alike or more and more distant? Maybe we all want to be. Maybe it's okay if we're not the same. I'll try to forget all the. Maybe we all want to be different. Does that make us all alike or more and more distant? I know what you would say. Maybe we all want to be different.
So you're also part of a law firm, Wright and Grainger.
Yes.
I guessed a theatre company, Wright and Grainger. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do and how you came about doing it?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, Wright and Grainger. Yes, it does sound like a law firm. You're right, Adam. And I mean, it's just our surname. So me and a guy called Alex. He's called Alex Wright. I'm called Phil Grainger. And in 2016, we made a show together for the first time that was just the two of us. So we went to school together. So we've known each other for like 20 years now.
That's thrown you back a bit, hasn't it? Like,
it
20
has,
years.
oh
my God. Just let that sink in a minute.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
And we'd done stuff together throughout, a decade of that, and then we made a show that was just the two of us doing the things that we do. So him telling a story and me singing songs and no other bits. And that was the story of Orpheus. So Alex asked me if I wanted to do the story of Orpheus or the story of the Odyssey. I'd never heard of either. And he said, well, Orpheus is about a singer. And I said, great, let's do that. Yeah. So we told the story of Orpheus, just the two of us, and it ended up feeling quite like the way that the ancient Greeks would do it, just one storyteller and one or two musicians gathering people and just telling a story.
I can remember coming to see you do that at Castle Howard when it was just the two of you.
In the Grecian room at Castle Howard.
Yeah. And even that, I mean, I know you have a much more kind of evolved setup now, but even just you two in that gorgeous space doing that was amazing.
Which is the Grecian room?
Oh, I mean, it's just where they do like their sort of posh teas. Not to get back on teas, but...
Well, if we need to.
they do like their, what's it called? High tea?
I don't know what it's called, but I know what you
Afternoon
mean.
tea.
And they do their Christmas thingies there as well.
So it's not like the little observatory thing?
No.
Nah.
Oh, there's like a little observatory thing in the gardens. And it's like a really old building with loads of artwork, like loads of painted ceilings and stuff in it.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks lovely.
Oh, that'd be cool to...
And it's like it's a circle. It's got big, like
the big dome.
Domed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, interestingly enough, Adam, it's funny you should say that because on the 19th of October, I don't know if it is the 19th actually, but painted on that dome that you're talking about is the story of Helios.
Right.
And Helios was before there was gods, he was a titan, but we just call him the god of the sun because it's easier. But for any pedants out there, yes, I know he's a titan because Al told me. So and the god of the sun used to pull the sun up into the sky on his chariot every morning. That's why the sun rises. And then one day his son, the god of the sun's son, steals the chariot and crashes it, and it's a nightmare. So we rewrote the story of Helios, and it's actually about a kid stealing his dad's car and putting it through a hedge in North Yorkshire.
Nice. I like it.
But we're doing that story under the painting of Helios in the dome at Castle Howard on a little tour of Helios that we're doing mid-October. So you can get your tickets from wrightandgrainger.com. Need a lawyer? Come to wrightandgrainger.com. That's right with a W, Grainger with a G.
Love it.
Nice.
Selfless promotion. Amazing.
So, kind of coming into your performances, they are renowned for being kind of super euphoric, exhilarating experiences for your audience members. What's it like the other side for you guys, or being able to perform that as a team? And is it kind of like an experience in itself for you? Because I've heard, like you see all the Instagram things of like audience members saying about how it made them feel, but I always think that must be so cool for you.
Yeah, it does feel the same as that, to be honest. So we do some that are sit down shows where you just watch a thing, and then we do some. When we say gig theatre, some of ours are like they're more of a gig than they are a performance. If you're watching it, you'd think it's just a gig going on, but there's these stories running through it. And there's one show that we've got called The Gods, and that's the one that everyone talks about being euphoric and really immersive. And that one, the audience stand on a sort of central dance floor. There's seating if you need it, but the invitation is to come and stand up with us. And then there's 3 stages around the outside of those audience, and 3 of us stand on the stage, and we tell the story. And it's 4 stories woven through this thing, but it does get extremely euphoric and upbeat, and people have come in not really knowing what's going on, going, well, I'd love to be sitting down. What the hell's going on here? And then, over the time, they sort of start to feel more okay with it. So by the end, they're dancing with each other and they're singing the sort of hook at the end, and it's just like it's become this communal experience, and that is hugely infecting for us, And
when I came to see you in London, I found it really infectious, and I wasn't even in the main kind of pit. I was sat
watching
up, and I felt like a god in myself. I was like watching all this. You were all like, it was all unfolding, but it is amazing. A really cool experience.
Well, I love that you came down for that one, because we've not really done up here in the north. We've not done many with that setup. We've done it in a theatre. We've done it at the Theatre Royal, where it's sat down watching.
I guess there's not as many venues where you have the freedom to move like that either, because York is tiny.
yeah. We keep meaning to do one at the Crescent.
Yeah, that would be nice.
At York. We need to get in touch with them and see maybe next year. And actually, I never felt it more than when one time we were doing the show and the laptop went down. So much so that we just had to, because there's a huge backing track. I play the guitar live, Al plays a drum machine for some songs, but other than that, there's a massive backing track that we created with the aforementioned Tom Figgins. And when it stopped 3/4 of the way through, we couldn't do the end, which is where it gets really euphoric. It's kind of like there's some really heavy themes in this show, and we'd gone down to the bottom of those themes. And we do that knowing that we've got our arms around the audience going like, hey, we're going here, but we're going to bring it back up at the end, and like we're going to feel like we've got to this place, and now we bring you back up, and here we are all together. And it's like, sounds very hippie-ish, but that's kind of what it is. And we experienced it where we've brought it all down to that really hard place. The laptop dies and we couldn't do the ending. And man, I felt so bad. I felt like I felt really blue, you know, and I had to go home going, man, if I couldn't do this show, if like I need the hit of what the end does to me. Felt like I was on like a come down, you know, like, I needed that ending, and we gave away about 60 CDs that night because I was like, listen to it on here, listen to the ending, and that's obviously not the same, but like we just felt like we had to. I felt like it's not fair to send people off doing that, and people were obviously very generous and lovely about it, but that showed how important the whole journey of it is, and how euphoric it does get at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've been studying, or you've been producing some international law. Sorry, no, wrong one. You've got a massive following in Australia with Wright and Grainger. Yeah. What's the reason for this, and what has it been like being able to travel so far to do your shows?
I don't know. If I knew the reason, I feel like we'd be able to duplicate it a bit closer to home.
It's crazy your following in Australia. Like
it's
love
silly.
You.
It's silly. You know, we went there in 2018 and did Orpheus, the really easy one to do.
Yeah.
And Alex was working on a show back here, so I went and we met a storyteller out there and we told it together. And you know, and we did it for a few weeks, and we won a little Best Theatre Award, and that was all quite brand new, and we were like, oh my goodness, that's really cool, and that kind of gave us a good leg up to wanting to keep doing it. And since then, we've gone back to Australia every year, and it just built up a lot quicker. Like I do wonder if it's because, I mean, people love accents that aren't their own. So like my accent that is pretty bland here, people love it over there, you know. So it like there's a bit of that going on. There's a bit of like, theatre from England. That's the thing, and obviously we don't do like theatre-y sort of theatre, so it maybe feels quite new and fresh. And
it's almost like commercial, modernised theatre, isn't it? It's like a new approach to theatre. And
you know, but it is hard to. But it's to the point where, you know, last year when we played in Sydney, we played at the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah,
like the most famous theatre in the world. And then I came back to here and was doing a gig at the Bay Tree down the road to 10 people, you know, and then we'd just done a sold out show at the Sydney Opera House, and that is hard to get used to, and obviously it's lovely to have that sort of thing going on in Australia, but I would love it to have to follow on here a little bit, and that's kind of one of my aims over the next little while is to, and one of our aims as a company is we really want to build. We're trying to stop talking about audience building and talk more about like your community and people that and we want to have communities in different cities and countries around the world that when you show up in their community they go, oh, it's those guys that we like. A bit more like a band following, I suppose, than than every time, you know, theatres talk about audiences and talk about how are we going to reach people here, whereas we want to just have people that just know who we are and like what we do, and when we show up they come to it, and I think it is about community, and it is about kind of connecting with people in a really true way when you do get the chance to connect with them. So keeping it honest and keeping it heartfelt, so that when you do get a chance to do your thing to somebody, they go, wow, that was I want more of that, you know. And yes, I mean, it's incredible traveling so much. You know, we've really, we're so lucky that that's a big part of what we do. And, you know, I think with anything, there's parts of it that get tiresome, and there's, and, you know, I sometimes come back and talk to my York mates and they're going, oh my God, you're living my dream. Like, I want to be away touring. And I go, well, I'd quite like to just be playing in pubs on Fridays and Saturday nights.
Do you remember when you came back the time, I think it was maybe the first time you went, and you came back and a few of us went for a Toby Carvery, and Phil was like, we were all like, wow, it's amazing what you're doing, like how exciting, and Phil was like, this Toby Carvery is so good right now, like, this is the life I need to be living right now. And I guess it's that contrast, isn't it?
Yeah, I hadn't had a Toby Carvery for 6 months. So thankfully I had a friend that used to sort me out a Toby before I left, and it's other Carveries are available,
Of course.
but are they as good as Toby's?
No,
Probably not.
What has been your favourite Wright and Grainger performance to date?
Well, Sydney Opera House obviously was
Yeah,
a bit of a life changer.
I
Oh,
can
not a
imagine.
life changer. Like it was a huge life moment. But actually, there was one that felt in that same tour. We did a show in Melbourne at a place called the Brunswick Ballroom, which is an old ballroom. Well, as old as things get in Australia.
yeah, we come from York. It's or I come from York. Nothing's old.
You're saying that's old. We did one there, and Jamie McDowell off of MPC fame, he came and sort of did like an opening bit on the MPC with some of his songs, and I think we just weren't expecting it to be as big as that. I'd come to Melbourne and done some shows previously, and it was hard. You know, there wasn't many people came, and it wasn't like it was a bit of a slog. So we were thinking, we're going to have to build up to this now. Then we found ourselves in this venue, which was, I think maybe like 200, 250, something like that. And it was quite a hard day of teching it and getting it all ready. And it wasn't really made for what we were doing. So like I mentioned, there's 3 stages. Well, I was on the stage, and Alex and Megan, who were doing the show, were stood on unused bass subs,
Right.
about the size of this little table that's
I
in
was
front
gonna
of me,
say,
just
which
like
is not a lot of space.
Yeah, so
especially because Alex gets quite,
quite
active.
dancey. Yeah, well, they both do, and they couldn't that day. So we were kind of going, all right, this is a bit of bit of fitting a square peg in a round hole. But then when we'd kind of finished it, I went outside, and there was a queue right down the street, and I sort of went, what are they going to? I realised they were coming to us, and then so everyone filed in. It was so buzzy and so exciting, and then Jamie absolutely smashed it, and I really loved it, and they really loved him. And then we did the show, and it just felt like, I think it felt like the absolute perfect version. And when you do, like we do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows every year, and we do, like we've done Orpheus 600 times now, and we've done the gods 200 or 300 times. It doesn't take very long for, when you're doing that, the slightest little thing being different makes you think, well, that was terrible. That was so, and you forget the many things that are going right in the show, and you go, well, yeah, but did you see the bit where I did this? And I'm sure that's a really common feeling among all parts of life, not just with music or theatre, but so often it's sort of, there's a little part of it that just doesn't feel quite right, and that one, I think it all just felt right. It felt like what we imagined that it was ever going to be, and that we nailed it, and that we weren't expecting to. And so I think that,
I think if sometimes expectations are a really big factor in stuff like that. If your expectations weren't massive and you were like, we're standing on sub speakers, like this is a bit of a risk we're taking, and then it turned out to be amazing, like that's really cool.
Yeah, like the euphoric feeling at the end of that was large.
Nice.
So that stands out as like a real perfect one, and a really lovely memory.
So what's next for yourself as a solo musician, and for I'm going to keep using the tired old joke, your law firm? What can we expect from
I should go
the
to law
future?
school, really, to
At least you could transition it easily if you wanted to change careers.
Yeah. Well, so we kind of, my solo stuff does kind of just try and fit in around the Wright and Grainger stuff. We've always got a lot of things coming with Wright and Grainger, and a lot of stuff, around the world, which is super exciting. But I'm kind of looking forward to, and we are close to being at a point where we're planning things so far ahead that I can go, like right now I'm in a month as we're recording this, I'm in a month where we haven't got much on as Wright and Grainger apart from this little tour that I'm not going to do. It'll be Alex doing that. So I should be able to do loads of solo stuff, but it's kind of too late, you know, like I should have booked it knowing that this was coming up. So I need to get used to that. But we're making lots of new stuff with Wright and Grainger at the moment. So we're making 2 shows that for the first time there's going to be, well, they're circus shows rather than just being gig theatre. They're what exciting. We do. It's really exciting. And we're working with some circus companies to make a visual language to match my musical language and Alex's
storytelling.
Text language. So we're making 2 shows of that. And they'll take a couple of years to make because it's a lot more complicated. We're also making a solo show for me to do, which is the story. Well, it's going to be called Grandpa Poseidon. It's going to be it'll be set near here. It's going to be on sort of the east coast beach line of the UK, and it's about Poseidon when he's kind of given up being a god, and he's sat looking at the sea on Scarborough Front or whatever. And it's kind of a story for younger audiences, which will be our first one for younger audiences. So we're kind of coming up with that at the moment and trying to think how we stay true to what we do, but make it more interesting for kids than when it's just someone talking and someone singing. We want to still be someone talking and someone singing. We don't want to dumb it down, but we need to be
more
thinking
accessible.
Thinking about kids as we do it and go, oh, well, what if that would be boring? How do we make it less boring, but still with delivering everything we normally do? My real hope is that we can make something that all of our usual audiences will still think is just one of our shows, but it happens to also really hit for young audiences as well. And then we've got the sister show to our show Helios, about the goddess of the moon, Selene. So we kind of got all this stuff coming up, and it's super, super exciting, and it's going to take. Some of them are going to be straight out in January, and some of them are going to take a couple of years, but that's all happening, and I just need to really try and keep my foot on the gas with the solo stuff in between, and keep putting stuff out and
also
making
rest
stuff.
in between.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, it's tricky, isn't it?
No time for that. Well, speaking of your solo stuff, what are you going to do for us next?
I think I'll play a song called Mother's Eyes.
Mother's Eyes.
Yeah, which is a song, it's kind of, I feel a bit bad about this. It's a song that I wrote for my mum because I used to think, oh, she likes a certain type of music, you know, she likes, you know, a bit of pop music and a nice sort of song on an acoustic guitar and that. And I thought, I'm going to write one that is like my mum's perfect little
genre,
gem. Yeah. But then so I wrote it and I recorded it and I gave it to her once on Mother's Day. Was it Mother's Day or was it her birthday? I can't remember. And I don't think she had very good internet at the time, so it wasn't an easy giving of it. But she sort of responded going, well, I like all your songs. That suggests that I don't love all. Of course I like all your songs.
Oh.
So now she kind of doesn't like this one.
The irony.
I'm sure she does. I'm saying that now. I'm sure she does. She does. She loves everything I do because she's my
apart from that shit song
mum.
you wrote for her.
Yeah, it's come round. So that's Mother's Eyes, and I'll give that a play now.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Got my mother's eyes, and she's got the kind that comfort me. Beauty's in the eye, and she's a beauty queen. I've got my mother's eyes, I try to see the things she sees in me. She helped me jump when I was 17. She gives me love when I'm plummeting. She's a kind woman, the kind of man I'd like to be. She's a warrior, and she's a warrior. She's a shining light to me. And I can't get a bike, but I know I can always stay the night. I've got got my mother's eyes on me more than half the time. I've got my mother's eyes. She probably doesn't know how much she's done for me. She's Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, better roasts than Toby Carvery. She's a kind woman, the kind of man I'd like to be. She's delicate, she's caring, and she fucking hates swearing. And I can't get a bike, but I know I can always stay the night. I've got my mother's eyes on me more than half the time. So one of these nights I'll write a song my mum will like, and I'll sing it nice. Yeah, one of these nights I'll write a song my mum will like. And you've got your mother's eyes. I heard you cry with them the night she died, but we stood as one and you held us up. She was proud of you like you're proud of us, and I can't get her back. And I know you're not asking me for that, 'cause you've got your mother's eyes on you more than half the time. So one of these nights I'll write a song my mum will like, and I'll sing it nice. Yeah, one of these nights I'll write a song your mum would have liked, and I'll sing it right. It'll have a pretty tune and simple time and words that rhyme, and no tattoos and no taboos, just like she likes. I'll sing it for dawn at sunrise. I'll sing it for Clive on Radio 5 Live. And any time I sing it, you'll know I'm alright. And every time I sing it, I'll know it's alright. 'Cause I've got my mother's eyes on me more than half the time.
So it's time for a couple of quick fire questions.
Right. They got to be quick fire answers as well.
Ideally.
Sure.
I mean,
I'm
I'll go back to Josh from Wounded Bear. He decided to. What was the book? Remember the book?
Don't. Yeah.
Dos Capita?
I can't remember.
I can't remember the name of the book, but
he delved into talking about
he went deep lit
Right.
a book.
on a quick fire answer.
Well, you can assure I won't go deep lit, but I will. I do love a yarn, so I'll try and keep them short.
Right. So we kind of talked about this already, but dream venue to perform at.
Yeah. The place I really want to do in my life is the Roundhouse in London.
Yes.
I think that's the perfect venue.
That would be amazing for the Wright and Grainger stuff.
Yeah. Roundhouse. I'm just going to leave it there.
Nice,
Perfect.
good. That was a quick fire answer.
You've got the idea. Already.
I have one which actually we've not got written down, but I've been thinking about it this whole time, and I can't believe I've not asked you it yet. Have you seen the series Chaos?
Oh yes.
What do you think of it?
I've already watched the first episode.
Okay,
and
tell
I
me.
thought it was absolutely incredible.
Nice.
So Chaos, if anyone doesn't know, it's a Netflix series telling Greek stories in a contemporary way. So it kind of is exactly what we've been doing. I'm not looking forward to people going, you do like the Chaos thing, and we're like, we've been doing it 10 years. But hopefully
it's in a much more kind of chaotic, but it's super dark as well. I feel like your stuff is much more relatable, whereas it's still very supernatural and kind of in this screwed up.
Ours is very everyday.
Yeah.
And theirs is quite crazy. Yeah, I thought though, episode 1, I'm going to watch all the rest this month when I've got a bit of time. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's like it looks perfect. It's perfectly cast. It's perfectly acted. The script's incredible. Like, really great bit of work. So yeah, watch Chaos. Our Orpheus is quite different to their Orpheus,
Yes.
which I think is also a good thing.
Yeah, nice.
I'm gonna watch it. You
should.
I've seen it. Like I've seen it online, and I thought, oh, that looks all right, and then never got round to it. But
It's given us quite a
swayed
nice. It's given us quite a nice thing because when we've been doing the gods recently, we're able to say, all right, this is a story about this and this and this. It's a story about the ancient gods, and now we can just go. It's about Jeff Goldblum,
right?
and people go, I got it.
Yeah,
I've got it.
It's familiarised people
Because he plays Zeus in it.
with it. Yeah.
So they kind of get the picture.
Nice.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh man, I hate karaoke. I find karaoke really tricky because if I've had a bad experience in the past with an early girlfriend where this story goes out to you, Hannah. I went to pick her up from a karaoke party, and they were all doing karaoke, obviously, as you do at a karaoke party. And she was like, "Oh, Phil, you do one. You're a singer." And I was like, "Ah, no, you're all right." She was like with all her workmates. And I kind of got talked into doing it, and I sang "Gold" by Spandau Ballet.
Amazing.
And I was just singing it, and trying to. Obviously, I'm trying to sing the notes right. But the reaction from like all of her mates was like, "All right, mate, we're all just having a bit of fun. Calm down." It's like, whoa. I'm just singing it. So, and now I've got a real chip on my shoulder about how much you should just try and be shit or so
Yeah.
I really struggle. There's in our show Orpheus, it all happens in a karaoke bar with someone singing Bruce Springsteen. So I'm quite often thinking, oh, if I film this, we can use it as promo. So I'll do some Bruce Springsteen. Or if I was not worrying about any of that, I think I'd generally be going for a bit of Meatloaf because I think it's the most fun stuff to sing in the world.
What's the kind of most memorable thing that, obviously taking away from audience members saying such lovely things about your performances, what's the kind of most memorable interaction you've had with a fan, whether it's Wright and Grainger or your solo stuff?
So what, when you said taking away from, not including...
Not including them saying, "Oh, you're fantastic."
Yeah. What's a really memorable thing
Yeah.
beyond those sort of things?
Mm-hmm.
Tricky one.
Right, no one's memorable enough. You got to be better, guys.
Sack them all
Say
off.
more
I don't
poignant
listen to
things.
people. I do my show. They can say what they want. No, I tell you, it's tricky because I guess, I hear a lot like, "You've got a really lovely voice," and I go, "Oh, thank you," and I try and make it feel,
Like it's the
Humble.
first time you've
well,
ever
yeah.
heard
I try and not, because people often will say, "Oh, you probably hear that all the time," and I'm like, and I try and make people not feel bad for saying it because obviously it's nice to hear it, and I've never heard them say it before, and but because of what, I do try and sing in my own stuff and in the Wright and Grainger stuff. It's all quite thoughtful, and a lot of effort goes into the stories involved. So I guess anytime somebody massively relates to something, which happens quite often because it's so we've got a sort of part of one of our shows that's called Bridge, and it's about a guy he's deciding whether he's going to jump off a bridge or not and end his life. And the amount of times people have come up and sort of said, I've been that guy, and I'm so
really
glad
poignant,
that I didn't do it, and I'm so glad I'm here now. That is obviously just that feels
It's hard.
and incredible, and you go, God, this is what it's about. And I don't know if I should talk about this. A sort of a friend of mine, but more so a friend of a friend, has just ended his life a couple of months ago, and they went on his they were got access to his Spotify and his Instagram and stuff at that moment, and the last thing he'd listened to was our gods.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, and obviously that brings with it a lot of kind of confusing feelings of like of wondering what was going on in that moment, but I'm trying to just take from it that's, I don't know, that it's a special thing, but it's also quite hard to think. Like, what I wish had happened was that he'd listened to it and not done it. And I guess that didn't happen, but and it's a real tragedy. And anyone listening that knew Phil, you know, I hope that was okay to share. And lots of love to you all, and see you soon.
Well, that kind of brings us to the end of Indie Tea Talk as a podcast. But I just wanted to take a quick second to just, you know, thank you for being so open and honest with us.
Yeah, it's nice. I think also a lot of people will maybe appreciate that you've shared that. A lot of people don't say things in fear, but
yeah, no, it's important that we talk about these sort of things. Do you know, I've had personal experiences with similar sort of, you know, avenues, and I think the more we talk about it, the more we spread awareness of it, the more that we say it's okay to talk.
Yeah,
you know, hopefully we can try and bring people out of the other end of it in a stronger, more positive sort of resolution to it. So
I think you're right. If anyone, there's a charity called Andy's Man Club, and it's just it's an open, online and in person. They have meetings in, I think, most cities on a Monday night where you can go and talk without fear of judgment or anything. And that's become a nice part of our gods conversation with those themes. And so if you don't know Andy's Man Club, check it out. Even if you're not needing it right now yourself, or if you know, they're just someone worth following and supporting. There's no kind of you know, they're not just after a monthly donation or whatever. That, you know, it's like it's just
a free service.
It's such a cool thing.
And you know, you don't have to be the person that's you don't have to be the person that's looking to get help. You could be the person that wants to talk to people there as well. So you know, it's I think it's a great point to bring up. Actually, brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Phil. It's been so lovely having you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me.
So before we wrap up, how can people find you on your social media sort of accounts?
Yeah, so you can at Phil Clive Grainger, which is for my sort of general me updates of my own music and my own projects, and then at Wright _and _Granger. Will find the law firm. So if you're in
for all your legal disputes,
you can find that there. And please do. And you know, there's a big conversation going on at the moment, and James Blake has just really dived into it in a big way about mailing lists and about artists not having access to their audience's data. And James Blake's just put out this big thing saying, I've just done all these shows over the last 10 years to millions of people, and if I want to put on a show, I don't know how to talk to them without going to these huge monopoly companies to reach out to them for me. And you know, Instagram has a huge lack of reach. He's got however many millions of followers, and his posts get seen by 2,000 or 3,000 people. So he's kind of just outing that at the moment, and I'm really sort of grateful for him using his huge voice to, well, he's got quite a quiet voice, but his
present,
to kind of to do that, and so that's, and like I said before about our community building and our audience building. We're thinking that's a really big part of it. We've wondered, like, are mailing lists still the thing, or are they dead? You know, like, do we just have one big WhatsApp group? You know, it seems to be the thing. But then we were like, imagine a WhatsApp group with 10,000 people on it. It would be
in every country.
Exactly. So we have decided. No, I think it still is email lists at the moment. So we're trying to build that, and you know, and. So jump on there, and we'll let you know when we're in your area, and we'll see you there, and you can join the Wright and Grainger firm.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming, Phil.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute
Thanks so
privilege.
much, both of you.
If you want to be part of Phil's community, then hit that mailing list up. If you want to join our community, then we don't have a mailing list, but what we do have is Instagram and YouTube. So if you want to follow us and subscribe, that'd be mint. Really help us out. And yeah, until next time, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.